Welcome to Tea Time with Kitty. Welcome, you guys. Welcome. Give everyone a second to get all logged on. Um, I had grabbed my 47 shirt to put on, but I guess I gotta wear it next week because I didn't have it in my bag. Welcome. And who's out there? Welcome. K Day is officially 47 years old. Happy birthday to me. Just hanging in. A month is almost over. Um, Today we will be talking about age appropriate dating and what you think about age appropriate dating, right? So let's see. We need birthday shout outs. Of course, my birthday shout out to myself and my sister. Hey, sister, happy Wednesday. Yes, Women Crush Wednesday. Put it in the freezer. Um, Thank you, sister. And today, get your minds ready because we're going to be talking about age appropriate dating. And I know a lot of us out there have children, and we don't have a child at that age to worry about that yet. We have siblings. We have grandchildren, nieces and nephews. Yes, it's K. They all month, almost to the finish line. And we want to know, what does age appropriate dating look like to you? Let me respond back to him. Some of our messages always come in from persons who like the text that's on, but can't actually respond. Let's see. I got to make sure that they're in. Okay, age appropriate dating. So, what comes to mind when you think about age appropriate dating? So, let's just first throw that out there. What do you think is an appropriate age for your teenager or young adult to date? And I want to know a little bit about what some of you all feel that it would vary based on. Hey, Chucky, that it would vary based on the sex of your children. I've seen that in the page. Okay, so you think 16 is a good age? Anyone else? What do you think is a good age to for your child to start dating? I do want to say thank you to all of those who did not get to join last week, but did send me birthday shout outs on the Tea Time page. So thank you. I know I see my niece on there for starters. But thank you to all of y'all as well. So Pookie said he thinks that 16 is a good age. Do anyone else have a different age? Like, are you thinking a little younger than that? You're thinking a little older than that. And then Pookie, when you say age 16, would that vary based on the sex of your child? So does it matter if they're female or male when you're saying 16, or would that rule apply around the board? So right now we're just trying to get an idea from you all on nope. Okay, so for both males and females. So anyone else, what do you think is a good age? Hello, Dayon. What do you think is a good age for children to start dating? I don't even really think that I dated. And I know we're using dating, but sometimes like a boyfriend or girlfriend. And how do you feel about that? But I know I had a boyfriend at a really young age, and I had a child at a very young age. So I think that must have been why I was so reserved with when it was appropriate for children to date, right? So I definitely didn't buy into as young as 14 or as young as 16 because of my own personal issues, right? It's ideal to be 16. Okay, to start dating seriously, I say 14. Most are in high school by then, right? So it is, okay. It's ideal to be 16, but I do not want my daughter to be completely lost about boys. Okay. I agree with 16 parental monitoring. Okay. So it sounds like the age that some of us feel that is most appropriate to date is about 16 years of age, right? And what does that look like? So I know I had asked Pookie, and I'm asking some of you all as well. Do you feel that varies based on the sex, right? So I know I'm okay with a little movie date because I can coach her on dating. Okay, so when my daughter shared with me that she felt like I waited too long to let her date, right? So she's grown now, but she said that I waited too long. So, and I do understand why she felt that way. And it doesn't based on gender at all. Okay. And I do understand in a sense why she felt that way, because I think that in order for us to truly figure ourselves out, sometimes the opposite sex plays a role with that, right? So just trying to figure them out, like how to establish a healthy relationship early on, because like later down the line, like we all will aim for later. You hear some people make up stuff like, oh, 18 or 30. I was good with 18, but some people may feel like 30 is a good age, but it does make you miss out because your maturity level needs to keep its pace with your generation, like with your peers, right? So if you're a parent and you held back your kids from dating, like I would kind of say that I did, and you want them to be 18 to start dating, and someone else is in your community, they're start dating as young as 13 and 14. Then you're kind of like, there's like a big gap between someone started dating at 13 and someone started dating at 18. So that's like a huge gap, like a 5-year gap. So at that time it's different because this particular person, you're going in with your all because this is your first time dating, your first time getting those little feelings inside your stomach. And then here it is with someone else where they're 18, they may have had 5 or 6 girlfriends or boyfriends at that time, right? So that's one of the reasons that we're talking about this topic today, to just try to see, because again, sometimes we as parents want to do what's best for our children but really don't have the answer. We just do what we think. So that was my reasoning behind feeling like children should wait. So when you talk about dating, you're talking about healthy dating, like I see that you all are talking about going to a movie. I heard a lot about that, or going to a park or out to eat. What do you feel is right, definitely dating. Okay, so let's talk about that before I go into what's appropriate. So now let's talk about the definition of dating. So what are we talking about when we're saying dating? Like what exactly does that look like? Some people think all dating involves sex. That is not true. Okay, so that's very important. So how do you teach kids a healthy way to date, right? Because you don't really see it anymore. So when we talk about dating, you'll hear children normally say they have a boyfriend or girlfriend, or a girlfriend and a girlfriend, or a boyfriend and a boyfriend, or whatever the case may be. You'll hear kids saying that, but a lot of times they're mimicking adult behavior. So they're kind of mimicking what they see adults do. So if you are a young guy and you're 16 years old and you want to start dating a girl, but when you never seen your dad take a female out on a date, right? You never seen your mom get taken out on a date. So that part of dating is not even in your realm. Like, for what you see dating is two people, in the bedroom, sometimes with the door closed, or having inappropriate conversations, fighting one another. I know you said they're a little friend, right? So so just like a little friend. So what about dating and having the person come to your home? Like, do you feel like dating for a child under 18 should ever involve coming to one or another's home? Like, and I'm not talking about for a birthday party or the cookout. I'm talking about just visiting, coming to the home. I'm not going to dismiss it. If my daughter comes home and tells me she has a boyfriend, I'm not going to say you ain't got no boyfriend. I'm going to ask, what do you like about him? Okay, so healthy conversation. How did you become your boyfriend? Because that opens the door to view what your child is attracted to. That is very important. And I know that that's something that I've really missed, because all of my kids are a little older. So Naya thinks that she has a boyfriend. I mean, like, really live, really not pretending, right? So, and I think that is very important. No privacy, but sure, come over. Okay, so you're fine with them coming over as long as you're sitting in the living room like a family watching a movie. You can see if she says, he walks me to class and carries my book, versus he's funny and always skipping class, right? So that does give you a lot of insight on what your child likes. And I think that those are some things that I missed out on. So if you are a younger parent, I want to make sure that you're getting this information so that you can move forward and know how to be, ahead of things when dealing with the relationship things, right? So we did point out one thing, not sitting here there with no closed door, right? Yeah, because my daughter told me when she was in school, even in middle school, girls could have boys and spend the night over. So that's what we're going to get into in just a second, is what is appropriate, relationship or dating, what is appropriate and what is inappropriate. I know a little girl, and it's not the first, because I've seen it when I was younger, but this little girl's was a little bit more serious than some things I witnessed growing up, but she was always beat on by a little boy, so you have to make sure that is not something that they're attracted to. Why do your 15-year-old daughter feel that by another little boy beating on me who haven't even really found himself yet is signs that he likes me or he cares for me and we're in a relationship, right? So in 1 second, we're going to get into the other topic of what that looks like. You can dismiss your child saying you don't have a boyfriend, girlfriend, and he or she could have been 5 minutes away from telling you that their boyfriend or girlfriend is 35. Okay, so that's a very valid point. So hear them out. Very important to hear them out. And I know that I was a very dismissive parent, like very dismissive. I felt that I had too much freedom. So I never wanted to give away too much freedom. So sometimes, like I say, it's always could be things that happen in your past that stops you or have you operate a certain kind of way that's not a good way, right? So you think that you're protecting them by saying, hey, ain't no boy or girl coming in my house, when really relationship should be shown. You should be walking through it with your child so they can know what's healthy, what's not healthy. And and by the time my son and daughter was like truly into relationships, they were already older, so they could kind of like make their own decisions. However, if I feel like if I could have been like a little bit more involved when they were younger, you could have had a little bit more focus on yes and no's in a relationship, right? So is there anyone else, just before we move into the next part of it, is anyone else that has anything else to add on as it relates to age, right? What age do you all feel that it's appropriate? Okay, let me back up a little bit because first we want to talk about what's inappropriate. So right now we're talking about a child that's 18 and under. And if the child is under 18, under any circumstances, should that child be allowed to have company in their room, right? So what do you feel about that? Under 18 in your house, living with you, what does that look like? Because we'll be like, oh no, could be my child. Well, it is somebody's child. And also Child and Family Services in DC. Don't know a lot about Maryland, contracted with DC for about 13 years. Child and Family Services in DC, and I haven't read any updated policies. But as it stands from when I was with them, as well as being after them, and we used to do the mandatory reporter trainings, a 14-year-old girl could have a boy over, and as long as I think he was under 16, a 16-year-old girl could have a grown man over because 16 is the age of consent, and that wasn't considered neglect. However, if you don't have food for that 16-year-old child, then that's considered neglect. So you can't not feed your 16-year-old child, but you can let your 16-year-old child have someone overnight with them. And that's one of the issues that I always had with DC on the way that they kind of weigh, their yes and no's and rights and wrongs, right? So Chucky put no. Okay, got that. Right, right. Okay, so they are just talking about starting college at 17 and your parents don't have control over your room. But the good part about it, of course, and I mean, even if you were at home at 17 and you wanted to have someone over, you definitely could sneak them in your house. And you definitely could sneak them in your dorm, even with the RAs being present, right? I still don't have boys in my room. Okay. Right. So I'm thinking older than 17 or 18 or college. So in order for them to stay over, right, twin, you're saying that they need to be 17, 18 or older. So you think 17 is an age where you can give them a little bit more intimacy. Okay. So with that being said, would it vary based on if this child has been dating? And then feel like they've been with that same person for a while and you're comfortable with them taking it to the next step because hey, sex is natural, right? Are you comfortable at that point? I won't allow my youngest siblings to have their boyfriend or girlfriends in the room. They are 12 and 13, but I am a hypocrite because my mom definitely allowed it for me. So how do you feel about that? Okay, so your mom allowed it for you. Like I said, my mom allowed it for me. And it made me have regrets, right? Because I ended up being a teen mom. But you was not a teen mom. So do you have any regrets? Like I know that you said that you definitely wouldn't be doing it in your parenting style, not even down to your siblings, Nick. But do you feel like you have any regrets that you were able to have someone over at that young of an age, right? And let's see. So I got everybody else. Okay, and Chucky, from your male perspective, because I know I think it was Pookie that said both, and that was coming from a male perspective. But I just want to make sure, like, do you feel like from a male perspective too that the age that you would go for would be 16 or 17, regardless of male or female? And while I'm waiting for Nick to come back in and answer a little bit, I also want to know, like, do you all know anyone? Because growing up, I knew people that had different rules based on the sex of the child, right? So my daughter ain't bringing nobody in here, but my son can. Do you all know anyone that still has that behavior? Because, it was years ago when I was coming up in my teenage years. But do you feel like that is something that you see parents still doing, or people is no longer doing that at this point? Okay, so Chucky, yes for both. Okay, so are people still doing that, or that's a no? Like, people are not doing that anymore. And then it's going to be one part. We got about 3 more minutes here. That is so toxic and delusional, but it was done a lot when I was coming up. I don't regret it. I think my mom must have known I would be responsible. Excellent. She always talked about what sex is and what I needed to do if I felt I was ready. Outstanding. I never was that parent to have those kind of talks with my children. I was more the parent that told them what they couldn't do. And my mom was like that, but then she let me do it. So I don't know. Guess we're a little different with that one, the way we seen it. But I definitely did not, never was that person that could go to my kids and talk to them about that. So, so that to me, that's one of the things I reflect back on in my parenting skills. And I think it had a lot to do with me going back again, like I have like a lot of issues that spilled over from like being a teen parent, right? But not only that, like trust, and always hearing growing up from my mom and my grandma that a stiff dick doesn't have any conscience. Always heard from them that men only want one thing. So I never seen it as really learning to value my body, because I already had in my head that men wouldn't, right? So I really admire that your mom was able to talk about that, right? I know I'm being unreasonable, but I don't want my child to date until they're a young adult. I'm too scared they'll have sex and have a baby. And that's how I was, because I'm thinking, hey, as young as I had Pookie, if he have a child, like I would have been a grandmother probably before 30. And I know people that was the grandmother before 30, but I was just so blessed and thankful that him and Yanni wasn't as fast as me, that I was almost 50 before I came a grandparent, right? And I enjoy it so much. I think you did. I may have, but I mean, like that deep, intimate, like, like the get down and like I tried, what I'm saying? Because I'm a true believer that you only could give what you have, right? With parenting. But, I tried, but I do think that that's one area that I could have been a little bit more, involved in, and you all still turned out perfect in that area. So I'm thankful for that. It was a fear inducing way that right. Sex, AIDS, pregnancy in your house at any age. Right. So not all that going in the house. Talk to them about birth control and being safe, because it's going to happen regardless. And that is so important. It's going to happen regardless. So my mother's Catholic, right? So we was raised Catholic before I got into Baptist, right? And I every year for Lent, Passover, I would give up sex, right? So we were doing and I would normally start off the first of the year like being holier than thou, like I'm always in church for New Year's. But anywho, so I'm at my friend Rashonda's house and still sending prayers up to her. She just recently lost her mom, and we were doing a vision board. And we was talking about things and things given up to her mom. Pray for her. Such a wonderful woman. One wonderful, wonderful woman, right? So we talked about me like, hey, I'm giving up. And she told me she was someone that was like really into church, love the Lord, very active. And she was the first person to tell me, and I want to say this was about 5, no more than 10 years ago, that sex is natural. And that was the first time. And I'm telling you, and I came from, being with my mom, grandma, aunt, so half family members, big cousins, but no one ever told me that sex was natural. Like that truly touched me. And I never forgot that. And that put like a whole different spin on how I view myself, how I view my body. So I definitely wanted to just share that, because like you said, it's going to happen regardless, right? It's definitely going to happen regardless. So we have to stop seeing our kids as these little innocent people and try to help them prepare to every next stage in life. I just had I just had the unimaginable happen to me. You know, my youngest daughter. So after raising, she's 7 kids, right? So after raising 7 kids, if you go back to Ronita, as well as with adding Mimi and Mika, and I like to always throw them in a loop with Christian. You talk about 10 kids that I've actually been in their life raising, right? And not nary one of them, not nary one of them ever that I know of. Well, let me back up because I can't say because I don't have a story about him having sneaking somebody over before. But never have I known to sneak someone in my house. And Sanaya just did it, right? And she snuck somebody in my house maybe 2 weeks ago, I think. And you know, that's what say, hey, let's talk about this, you know, because I felt like it was the worst thing in the world to happen, like in spite of all the worst things I've done. But it was the one of the worst things that happened. And I guess to me it was like a lot of trust, because out of the 5 bedrooms in the house, she had her company in my room. So aside from just you know, aside from just sneaking somebody in the house, and my whole thing is the laundry room can be a 6 bedroom, like easy. Like you that the laundry room is like all you need for the laundry room is huge as that thing is a bed, and that would be a bedroom, right? So I'm just thinking like, what would be the reason that of all the rooms that you done passed throughout the house, what made my room your selection, right? Because these young people thought process is a little different. They're a little more dangerous, and I'm telling you, I done did some stuff. I wasn't innocent, but I ain't sneak nobody in Baba Jean house. And it might have been because she let me have company, so that could be the reason. But I definitely wasn't taking nobody in her room, right? I was afraid to have a baby when I was young. So why were you afraid? Talk about that. And Daniel, why did you say What were you talking about? But Nathaniel, talk about it. Why were you so afraid to have a baby when you were young, right? And we got about 8 minutes easy left in tea time. So what made you afraid to like have a child? We know that, yeah, me and Neek know for sure that y'all had already had that little baby that's yelling in the background already in the thought process, right? So we know she wasn't scared, probably scared of the process, but definitely wasn't scared. So Boogie, when you say okay, so when you say young, you were thinking about how young. I'm still scared. So what are you scared for, Nick? So I want to hear from y'all. Like, are y'all scared that the child is gonna be bad? They're gonna cost money. I know for you, Nick, are you gonna feel like it might hurt? Like, what is it to be afraid about? And when we add on to that, you was a little scared. Okay. And to add on to that, because I guess like I definitely know it's a lot of fear associated with it in all types of ways. Like, am I going to be a good parent? Am I going to do this right and that right? But I was never going to miss out. Right, right. Definitely don't miss out on experience, and I definitely encourage that, for people to have a child, like definitely have a child. Like, I think it's a beautiful thing. It's a lot of heartache and headaches and all that kind of good stuff, but it makes you happy. And if you have as many as me, you could get a lot of gifts for your Mother's Day and birthday and Christmas, right? So that's definitely something to think about. Let's see. Anything else that we may have missed when we're talking about dating? Anything else? Because like I said, I definitely know it's a good time. So what I'm going to challenge our parents with, and of course I missed out on the opportunity in case I go get another baby real quick, but I missed out on the opportunity. Talk to your children, talk to them young about sex, not just don't have it, because that was my mom. Don't have it. I could have a boyfriend. He could come over the house, but don't have sex, right? And I think that was like a concoction for failure with that right there, right? Um, I was afraid I wasn't going to be good of a young parent like you and my dad, so I was willing to wait till I was about 8. So hold on, you said you was willing to wait till you was 18. Well, how young was you thinking, crazy? My sons better wait until they're 30 today. 30. Guess that. 30, they gotta wait until they 30. Oh my God, yes, stress. So you're gonna be one of them old grandparents, right? Because you had your kids older, so you didn't have yours young. So you're gonna be one of them old grandparents if they wait to 30. And and like when Yanni went to Hampton, like I didn't even have her young like Boogie, but when Yanni went to Hampton, like everybody parents was older. Like everybody parents was older. Like just Their parents was looking like their grandparents, like Yanni classmates' parents was looking like my mom and dad. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I said, I must be one of these young parents to compare with these other parents, but yeah, so Trey, you have all boys. So do you think that you would deal with it a little different if you had a daughter with the whole dating thing? Like, what is your take on that? Because we definitely would want to hear from you with having with 30. So you gonna make sure they wait and you can interact with them real good when they be older. But I made 30, I guess 30 not too bad. Pookie probably was almost 30. Um anything else when you think about dating, anything that we may have missed? I know I talked about talking to your kids early on, letting them know that they can confide in you. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes when you're that parent that a child can't talk to, it's not good and it's not healthy at all, right? Because I am that person. Like, Yanni used to point that out a lot about me. Pookie don't really talk about me too much, but Yanni would point it out a lot about me. And Dan, you pointed out a lot about me now, right? So like, and Samantha and Sanaya's mom, will often say that they have that. Like, I'm just kind of like direct. My dad was kind of like that. And I don't want to be totally direct anymore. It's just that, again, I always go back to being a parent. You can only give what you know, right? And what you're capable of. What's the definition of dating? Are we talking about sex or courting? Well, we were talking about the both, right? So, do you have a definition for us for dating? Like, I didn't look up like an actual definition, but when I think about dating, I'm just going to say off the top of my head, I think about teaching our kids to date. Like having them date young, 16 years old. And I told Samantha this: you have a friend that you like her. Let me talk to her mom. Maybe I can drop y'all off at the movie theater. Maybe the mom can bring y'all back home and y'all can interact in a healthy space, because I feel like with time and opportunity, anything can happen. So I'm not one of those parents who say, hey, y'all can go in y'all bedroom and, things happen. Like, kids are curious, they get to touching over something and they go somewhere else. Sex part, I think that I still would say 16 is too young to have sex. I think that a child should be 18 to be sexually active. Of course, it may not be happening as much, and some is, because my son and daughter went well over that age. But for the most part, I do think that you should be 18 to be sexually active. I always say, with me having my son young, I wasn't able to get a job. I wasn't able to get a car. Lord knows, not my own place. So I think that sex comes with a lot of responsibility, and I think that it can put you into situations, right, that you don't need to be in. So, I do applaud a lot of doctor's offices where, 17, like, okay, great, okay. I do applaud doctor's office. Okay, wait, Yanni was 10. I do applaud doctor's offices that give kids the privacy, but to me, it's still a pro and con with that, because you was 18. Okay, a pro and con to that, because I look at it like, you know, if something happens to this child, or if they come home with some disease, Lord forbid, parents is not aware of it. Like, they won't share that with you. So if your child has an STD, that's their privilege. They can even share it or they don't. So you need to know how to deal with them, or how to make sure they're safe, how to make sure they're applying any cream or medication that they need to take. So I think that parents should know, and get a little bit more comfortable with that. All of my children have always let me stay in the room with them, all of them, right? Um, and it's their right. So I thank for them allowing me to share that experience with them until they got to the point where I feel like I'm too old. I'm not staying in this room with you. But like, so I think that all of that plays a part. So for me, I would say that children should start dating at 16 so that you can start learning yourself, learning the other sex or the same sex. Everyone has their own preference. And I think about 18 is when you should start moving in. But I think that we need to teach people to respect each other like one another, right? I know Mousy came in and says 25, but I think that we should teach them to respect one another. So if we teach them to date, to respect, people won't have tendencies of just bouncing around from relationship because looking at like, hey, in this relationship, I'm not getting X, Y, and Z. This person looks like they're going to give me all of these things. Oh, you wasn't no 25. That this person is going to give me all these things. And then when you get out of the relationship that you've had some time in to move into something, you see that it's not there either. And you're a little and you are a little disappointed about that. Right. So, I know we're about to wrap it up, but I did want to say one other thing that we didn't get to get into is, like prom. I know a lot of kids like to go back to hotel rooms after their prom, like our parents in agreement with that. What does that look like? I definitely think that the tea time viewers today are very much open, or very more open than kid, than parents was coming up in our time. And I think that we just see more on social media, and we don't think that our children are just this little innocent baby that our parents thought we were coming up, right? So again, the key of this all is to talk to your child. STDs is real. Pregnancy is real. Sex trafficking, when we're talking about that, I had a talk with Sanaya, because a lot of little boys that she's running with, she met them on social media. And I was telling her, hey, all those little boys posting saying they 16 on social media can be grown men luring little girls away, as well as grown women. Grown women take advantage of younger people just like grown men. So know that, so if you feel that your son's teacher is spending too much time with him, you need to call that out too. It doesn't just have to be a male teacher seeking a girl student. It could be a female teacher seeking a male student, right? Yeah, once they get a phone, it's a wrap. Just trying to keep them safe and secure from it. Oh no, my son is coming home. No little girl going to trap him with a bed. Exactly. So be mindful of those things. Constantly talk to your children, because these kids out here are doing more than TikTok. Like, they are really ticking, right? So we need to be informed. We need to be updated. We need to talk to them, and we need to be involved. And don't be a parent like me, because I didn't want to have uncomfortable conversations. Have those uncomfortable conversations. Even if you're not someone like me that want to talk directly, write it down in a notepad. Send them a journal. Have a chat journal with you and your child. That'll be a great idea. And I'm going to start that with Sanaya and Samante. That's going to be my goal for their birthday, a chat journal where they write down whatever they're feeling to me for me to read but can't express it. I write down what I'm feeling, and it doesn't have to be an argument. You don't have to feel uncomfortable. So if you have a younger child and they're ready to go, hey, niece, go into that dating game. And it could be with anything that they may be dealing with. Not just that, it could be dealing with sexuality issues. Have a chat so that they don't have to feel like they're going to be judged directly in front of you, right? But we know that the overall goal is that we want our kids healthy in all types of ways. I never got those uncomfortable. That's why I was a virgin to a 19. Outstanding, niece. Yes. Thank you. I know that's why I'm going to be outside of the prom wait to bring him home. Exactly. That's one of the only times your parents can be by your side, walking you through a step back. Exactly. All of those things are really, really, really great responses. As always, I thank you all so much for sipping. But Samontes has been bringing me some grape juice, like one of my favorites, and he brought it to me warm, so I had to send it back. He told me he was going to stick it in the freezer, but the whole time he had me thinking my juice was ready. But I just want to thank you all so much, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thanks for sipping with a sister.